everyone. I'm Steve Parsons, CEO of Goldsource. I'm just going to jump right into it. We just don't have a lot of time with 10 minutes. So Goldsource, who are we? We're focused on the 100% owned Eagle Mountain project in Guyana, South America. It is 1.7 million ounces, hosted and indicated in inferred categories, quite large. It's the second largest undeveloped 43-101 resource in the country. It was not insignificant. There's quite a lot of M&A happening in Guyana, a lot of activity with some of the biggest miners moving into the country. And importantly for us, there is runway for resource growth. We've just been focused on the western side of the property. There's the eastern side. There's two prominent structural trends on the western side, which we've been focused on, and there's scope on both those trends, which we'll get into. So importantly for the resource, the 1.7 million ounces, it's shallow. It's from surface down to only 80 meters, and the bulk of it's from surface down to 50 meters. So very much a sort of a surface mining operation, looking for a very low strip ratio here. 5,000 ounces of it is hosted in soft rock saprolite, so very weathered layer. So obviously for us, when we're thinking about a phased development plan and getting into the project with low capex intensity, low opex intensity, saprolite provides the opportunity to do that. And lastly, because it's from surface down to only 80 meters, it's laterally extensive and flat lying. So what that means from a mining perspective is you can pick and choose where you want to get into the deposit and preferentially focus on higher grades and higher cash flows early in the mine life, and that would be within the saprolite layer. So definitely opportunities here for phased development plan, scalability, that's provided by the saprolite to get into it. And then we start off in the saprolite, it's phase one, it's the way we think about it, and at phase two, we would be using the cash flows from the saprolite to move into the larger fresh rock operation. Jumped into it already. In terms of the team is sort of well-known industry professionals. Myself, I was in the finance side for a number of years, working for Canadian banks. Started off my career building mines in Canada, working in various gold mines. Others on the team, you may recognize Eric Fear. He's the founder and CEO of Silvercrest. Silvercrest has been a very exciting story in Mexico, and he's very involved with us, our executive chairman, and is also our QP. Importantly, we've got a deep team in Guyana. We've got a team of 40, very low turnover. Some important people here, Kevin Pickett, he's our chief geologist. He's lived in Guyana, has been associated with our project for 13 years and doing some great things, which we'll get into. As far as the capital structure goes, you see here, 53 million shares. We're fully financed for what we want to do here in the near term. Cash about 10 million, very good, strong support, about 30% institutional shareholders. Eric Sprott, which you'll hear a lot of, he's involved. We did a bought deal financing, $12.65 million. It closed in May of this year. Lead order was from Van Eck. Now you think of Van Eck as the GDX and GDXJ. In our case, they've got an active fund as well. So they did the lead order, $5 million in their active fund there. So fully financed for what we want to do here in terms of the near-term activities. We're active on a 21,500 meter drill program. We're going to be well through that. Initially, it was 16,500 meters of infill drilling. That's been going well, focused on the 1.6 million ounce Eagle Mountain deposit. And we've just added an extra 5,000 meters of pure exploration drilling, focused on a new north-south structural corridor where we're having some good results. So what you'll see in the near term for us, obviously more infill results, which has been pretty boring for investors for the first 10 months of the year. We're going to be following that up with another resource update here before the end of the year, but also some more exploration results on this north-south structural corridor. So Guyana, many of you would know, Guyana, and it's got the same geology as West Africa, more or less. It's under heavy vegetation on the South American side, so that's slowed the progress on big deposits. There have been some big deposits discovered lately. Geophysics is helping in that regard. We've got some of the biggest miners, Barrick, Newmont, et cetera, moving into the country. And it's not just because of the geology. What's changed in Guyana, it's become an oil and gas producing nation. That started at the end of 2019. Those cash flows are starting to fund the build out of the infrastructure. So the infrastructure, or the lack thereof, was an impediment or a knock on Guyana previously. So we've got new roads being announced, being sanctioned. We've got just last week, China Railway was announced as the constructor of a hydropower project that's 50 kilometers north of us. So the infrastructure build out is happening. It's essentially being funded by the oil and gas, and that is attracting some of the biggest miners to move in and look to exploit what's there on the gold side. We're 230 kilometers southwest of Georgetown. We're road accessible. We are this green box here. It's 10 kilometers by 5 kilometers. The red dots there are gold in alluvials and gold in saprolite. Very active artisanal mining area where we are. We're kind of in the epicenter of all that. If you look around us, we've got Omai Mine 43 kilometers to the northeast. The Troy Resources is north of us 50 kilometers. And Barrick, basically when they came in, they picked up the land between us, Eagle Mountain in the green box, and Troy Resources. So that's where they've moved in. And the hydroelectric dam is just 50 kilometers north of us. So as far as our resource goes, that 1.7 million ounces is hosted in two deposits, both structurally controlled. Both have been affected by saprolitic weathering down to anywhere from 5 meters to 50 meters. On average, we have about 17 meters of saprolite. The Eagle Mountain deposit is horizontal, subhorizontal flat lying. That's the big pink resource outline there. It's laterally extensive, as I said, 2.5 kilometers long, 1.5 kilometers wide. And the Salvora deposit. These are the new discoveries on the north-south trend right here. Salvora so far is the only one that's made it into the resource. We've got some new discoveries here at Toucan, Pow East. We'll be reporting on those in the next couple months. But some interesting results, and we'll look to bring those into the resource as we go. As far as the resource goes, that 1.7 million ounces, that was based on 57,000 meters of drilling. We're going to be adding an extra 20,000 meters of drilling to that as we report on the resource update later this year. That 20,000 meters is largely been infill, so don't give you the impression we're going to go from 1.7 to 2 and above. It's largely focused on continuity. More of the exploration drilling we've been doing has been more recent, starting in September, and we'll be reporting on that, as I said, in the last couple months. As I said, shallow, we're looking for a strip ratio of less than 1-to-1 in the saprolite. As we mine the saprolite, we're actually pre-stripping the underlying fresh rock, so we're looking for a low strip ratio on the fresh rock as well. Metallurgy, 3 rounds of met, 96.5% recovery, very coarse grind. We're looking for about 200 micron grind size to get that 96% recovery, extremely low sulfides as well. So the metallurgies come together very nicely. Certainly more work to do on the north-south trend, as I said, which is new, but we'll get to that metallurgy. As far as the targets go, so we've been saying we've been doing the infill drilling on the Eagle Mountain deposit. The targets have been on the north-south. I'm just going to spend a little bit of time on those. So actually going back, in Eagle Mountain deposit, we've got basically in the resource about 0.95 grams per ton in the saprolite. The underlying fresh rock is about 1.2 grams per ton, again, both with a low strip. When we look at infilling the Eagle Mountain deposit, we've had some good discoveries and substantially higher grades. So we had 34 meters of 20 grams per ton from surface in saprolite in a hole earlier this year. In a hole we announced yesterday, we had 14 meters of 20 grams per ton in an area called Number 1 Hill. So we do have some higher grade areas that we're coming back with in the infill, much higher grades than we were expecting with an infill program. So stay tuned there. Happy to speak about some of those higher grades we're getting with the infill program. And that's the ounce hill area here. That was the 34 meters of true width of 20 grams per ton. What we're seeing here with the infill is we are extending the zones here. Everything with a pink outline, if you can see it, are lateral extensions. So they're all lateral extensions outside of the resource outline, which is the shaded area here. So we are infilling, but we're also extending the deposit laterally to the north and to the southwest. So we'll see where that comes back with respect to the resource update. But I would say as we move out away from the core of the area, the zones tend to splay a little bit, and the tenor of mineralization is less. So the core of the zones are holding together really well with respect to continuity. We're adding new zones, albeit a little bit thinner and in cases a little bit lower grade as we move out to the periphery. As far as the exploration goes in that north-south trend, Salvora, that was in the resource, Toucan, some stuff down the south we're working on. So these show up in geophysics. They've got higher sulfides, they've got a sort of chargeability high, resistivity high. The Eagle Mountain deposit's got no geophysical signature. That's the 1.6 million ounces here, and it's got low sulfides and it's flat lying, so it doesn't have much of geophysics. But these are the areas we're doing exploration on. Stay tuned for that. We'll have some results here in the coming weeks and months. The whole eastern side of the property has not been explored. As I said, we've been focused on the western side, just through by way of, we've had discoveries and we've had road access on this side. Just in terms of the timelines, we're looking at this next resource update by the end of the year. We're looking at more exploration results, as I said, a pre-feasibility study by the middle of next year to demonstrate and help everybody contextualize what does the saprolite mean for us with respect to OPEX and CAPEX. So that PFS middle of next year, and then all things going well, we might look to finance the saprolite component on the back of the PFS and move forward. And well, that's it for me. Obviously, valuation, we're cheap, lots in the denominator. We got some work to do to unlock value, but with the news coming out, we hope we'll have success on this front. Thank you.